This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back to Live Talk with Dr. B. Hill. Today we're going to go back to the basics. So anyone that wants to join in on a conversation and wants to ask a question, use the chat button in the right-hand corner. Dr. B, take it away.
Thank you. All right. Today we have Josh, we have Travis, and we have Dr. Smith. And I think going back to the basics is always a wonderful idea because we don't want to miss anything. And basically, the more times we hear it, the more it sinks in and the more we understand. I'm sure people have watched a movie before and really enjoyed that movie, and they watched it a second time and saw things that they never saw before. I know that happened to me. I don't know if it happened to any of you guys, but
Yes.
Dr. Smith, take it away.
Thanks, Dr. B. And by the way, the movie analogy is a great one. The second time I saw Jaws, I was how was I? 14. The second time I saw Jaws, I saw things I didn't see the first time, and I never saw it again. I didn't like it. So yeah. All right. I think I, we are trying to be leaders here. We're trying to give people something to. We're trying to give people a reason to follow us. And so I thought what we would do today is we've been talking about science. We always talk about science. We have become a science show, and our people have become science people. And I wanted to make a statement today about science. And B, you asked me yesterday to put some thought into the first 10 minutes of the show today, and this is what I came up with. Okay, science advances. Science always advances. Okay, science is never static. It's always moving forward. Okay, and the art of science is to know where the next move forward needs to take place. That's the art of science. And the way you do that is you read the existing science behind you, and then you go, okay, this is where the stake in the ground needs to be. And then you put a stake in the ground ahead of you, and you do the science, and you move everybody to that point forward. So Travis, this is what people are going to know about you and what you did. And this is one of the reasons why you are a truly unique individual, for reasons that even as long as I've spent time with you, I don't fully understand. When the opportunity came up to be a participant in a clinical trial, you jumped on it real fast. You didn't hesitate. I don't fully understand your motivations. I'm not sure you even fully understand them yourself at this point. But for whatever reason, when the opportunity came, you jumped on it. And what you didn't even realize at the time was, Travis, you were the stake in the ground that we move forward. You were the stake in the ground that we move forward. There were others with you on the stake, but you were the advancement forward in science. And you were an advancement forward. I'll put up for two reasons. And Chris, if you would, let's put up that catecholamine slide. Uh, there, there is no getting past the importance of this slide right here. Uh, sometimes I just stare at it. Sometimes I just stare at it, and I think back to when this slide didn't exist, and I think back to what I used to wonder what it would look like. It did exist. I knew we could build it. I knew we could. I knew we could. I never doubted we could. Um, and I remember back when we didn't know this slide. This is the first time in the history of mankind that people who got sick because they simply stopped taking their opioids had their blood drawn and evaluated for the adrenalines, the catecholamines. And as you can see clearly in front of you, 13 out of 15 had an elevated catecholamine level. Okay. Several had multiple levels, several including Travis. And so, Travis, that was a motion forward of science. Okay. And what we learned is truly remarkable. And Christy, if you jump ahead to the next slide, and this was another part of the same clinical trial. And Travis, once again, you were here, and Josh, you're about to join Travis on this next effort. I know you and B are, and in fact, Josh, you're going to be the first person using the new technique. I don't know if you know it or not, but B elected you to be the guinea pig for the new collection technique of the DNA. When Josh and his group of 15 did their DNA, a number of them dried out in transport and were worthless. And so, Josh, you're the guinea pig on a new technique, which my guess is what, B, beginning of next week, maybe?
Yes, I think so. Yes, sir.
So, B, your goal is to get that first sample from Josh into the lab either before or right after Thanksgiving. Is that a fair point?
That's very fair. We've been waiting for the funnels to come in.
It always amazes me how little details like that can interfere with science. The plastic funnel.
Yeah.
And Josh, I hope you're excited.
Oh, I am.
It's Travis went into this not knowing what the outcome was going to be. Okay, and Travis, I know you're excited about what happened. I know you're.
Oh yeah.
There's feelings about everything, but I know you feel good about advancing science. Is that a fair statement?
I feel good about everything we're doing here, Dr. Smith. From day one, whenever I learned about everything and, it was brought to my attention about the damaged DNA, I've been behind this 100% all the way since I found out about what was going on here. Because, I always knew in the back of my mind there was another explanation that there was not something mentally wrong with me and that I was not a drug addict. And I really felt like that. It wasn't just my pride. I felt like there was always something else to it. So when I learned about the damaged DNA and about the Smith tests, I wanted to be involved. I mean, I knew that this could help save a lot of lives, and I knew that this could probably put an end to the opioid, what the crisis that's going on right now in the world. I mean, and I want to be a part of that. I want to help people, and I want to stop what's been done done to me and all the other people, and make sure that it never happens to anyone else. I mean, that's my biggest thing.
But Travis, you suffered. Day 3, you suffered.
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand. I mean, we all suffered. Anybody that's the way that I see it, anybody that is linked into this opioid crisis in some way or fashion, you have suffered. Whether you know a family member or a loved one that was hooked on this, you suffered as well. We all have. Everybody's been affected by this. So this is bigger than me. This is bigger than Josh. This is bigger than just one person. This is way beyond anything of that caliber. Like, this is big, and we have to take the head of the snake off. And I've said that from the beginning. And I feel like what we're doing here is revolutionary, and I feel like, it's really going to change the world. It's going to change how they treat opioid addiction or whatever they want to call it. But, I don't believe it's addiction. You know how I feel about that. But it's going to change a lot of different things. The way that they approach this treatment, the way they go about, relinquishing these medicines out into the world so openly and easily, it's going to change a lot. And I really believe that. And I just feel like we're going to save lives. And that's one of my biggest motivations. I want to save lives. I don't want anybody to go through what I've been through. I don't want anybody to go through what Josh has been through, what Samantha's been through. I don't want that to happen. It's preventable. It's a preventable crisis that people are creating. It's preventable. It was
Yes.
preventable from the start. It could have been stopped before they ever started it, and they chose not to. I don't know why. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe it was incompetence. But if you look at all the research that we have, from articles that are almost almost 100 years old, to be honest with you. I mean, think about this. Let's be real about this. That concerns me. We have to continue doing what we're doing here. I believe in it, and I believe in the science. And Dr. Smith, that's just really how I feel about that. So I just wanted to take a time and just comment on that. So,
Travis, you are the warrior, and I admire you for it. Josh, did you ever see yourself as a pioneer in science?
No, sir. No, I didn't. No, sir. No, sir, I didn't.
But yet both of you are pioneers. You may not think of yourself in those terms, but when people look back, and trust me on this, years from now, people will be going back and looking at these videos that we're recording right now. Okay, trust me. And leading the pack will be the defense attorneys for the pharmaceutical industry. To find out where in the world this came out of left field and hit them right between the eyes. But
Right.
It is important to, as we say, take a moment and reflect upon where we are and how we got here, and the basic science that we're doing. And I know both of you are thankful men, and I know both of you are reflective men, and I know both of you are praying men. And one of the greatest honors that can be given to you is the opportunity to make a difference. And for both of you, when that opportunity rose, you took it. And that speaks very well of you. That's what leaders do. That's what leaders do. And I know B and I talk about it quite a bit. We are so privileged and honored to be surrounded by giants.
Yes.
And we're very thankful for you guys. And next week is Thanksgiving, and we need to be reflective upon our thanks. And
you
trust
guys are giants too. I just want to say that,
Yeah.
Dr. Smith and Dr. B, I appreciate it, and I know Josh does. I can't speak for him,
Yeah.
but I know I can probably say that I know he appreciates what you're saying. But you guys
Absolutely.
are the giants here. We're giants too, from your concept, but from our standpoint, you're the giants. You're the one that has created this science and figured this out. It's groundbreaking to me. Like I really
Right.
feel like, once this really gets out and people start paying attention, this is going to be this is like, and I don't even know if I could say this, but you'll probably win a Nobel Peace Prize for this, Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel, honestly, in my heart. Like, this is something big. Like, it's revolutionary. It's groundbreaking. Like, it tips the iceberg, and people, they can't, once this science gets out, people are not going to be able to say, hey, this isn't true, because you can't fight science. You can't, there's no way around science. Once the science comes into play and you can prove what we're talking about, everything else is out the window.
Right.
There's no more turning their backs on it at that point.
I thank you for the kind words. My motivation, just so you know, at least a big part of my motivation, was in working with our people, in working with you, Travis, and in working with you, Josh. And in talking to as many people as I possibly could, I felt like there was a finger being pointed at every one of you. And it was a finger it was a very judgmental finger, that this was your fault, that you were being blamed.
Right.
And that was a very hard thing for me to live with, because I felt it was wrong, and I felt that it was an injustice. And I felt that in some way, shape, or form, we have to start a process where people don't feel like there's a finger being pointed right at them.
Right.
And guys, that's what we're doing right now. We're building that. Okay, Josh, you you went through the first sample of DNA, and don't take this as criticism or anything. It's not criticism, but the process that we built to get your sample into the lab is not going to be. It doesn't have the legs to do thousands of samples. It was it was a defective process. And so, Josh, you're now hopefully on the pathway that will allow us to do, larger numbers of samples. And when you give your sample, this week, next week, whenever it is, Josh, it'll feel like a very mundane, almost boring process. And that's the way science is sometimes. It is mundane, it is minutia. But Josh, when you put the seal on that and drop that thing back in the mailbox, take a moment and reflect upon what you're doing. That's a special moment.
It is.
Yes.
Dr. B, what do you think?
I really feel as if that is what Josh is going to do, is the beginning, is the start of everything tumbling down. All the misbeliefs starting to tumble down. I really believe that he is a real leader, a real person who wants to fight the opioids, who has worked strong and hard. He's working constantly with Travis. They're spreading the word, they're getting it out there. And I do believe that this will be the beginning of the end. When
I
he
do too.
drops that back into the mailbox, that's the start.
Take a picture, Josh.
I will. I will definitely.
Take a
I'm
picture of the package and the mailbox, and that'll be a special moment.
yes, sir. I will. I'm going to take a picture of it all.
I'll put it in the
Um,
newsletter too.
yes, ma'am.
And,
I'm honored and I'm excited. I can't. I look every day hoping it's there already.
We're just waiting for the funnels.
Yeah, it's all right.
Always something.
It'll be okay.
so anyway, that was my what I wanted to start with today, Dr. B, was the idea of, we did some basic science and we put a stake in the ground ahead of where science was. And now what we're doing is we're moving the science forward to that stake. That Travis is right. That stake in the ground represented a new concept. Travis is right. That stake in the ground represented a way of thinking that didn't really exist.
Mm,
And that's the way science works. You put that stake in the ground and then you backfill and catch up with that stake. I would go so far as to say that, B, when you get your 45 done and you get the CLIA certification on the DNA test, I would say at that point the science has caught up with the stake that Travis and his crew put in the ground. I think that's a fair statement.
yes,
Today
I
is a
agree.
very, very emotional day, a good
Yeah.
day, a day that we know that we have planted it, a day that we know that we have gone ahead and are making that move, are making that big stride.
Yes.
Today is a very emotional, strong day for the DNA test, for Josh, for Travis, for everybody, for all of our people. Today is the very, very first day, a very emotionally filled day that will go on forever.
The
Yeah.
CLIA certification process came off of that slide you're looking at right there.
Yes.
Those
Wow.
red and blue columns.
Did did they say are they going to certify us or what? I mean, have they given us a date or anything like that or
The early data. I don't want to jinx anything. Okay. I don't
okay?
want to. I don't want to jump the shark here. I don't want to jinx anything. But the early data that we ran a couple of 3 weeks ago came back really, really strong. And if Josh's crew of 45 match your crew of 15, it's a done deal.
Oh, well, I think we're going to be good, Josh. I think I'm
I'm
telling
ready.
you, man. Like,
Ready.
my
Yeah.
I'm ready.
gosh.
If
I'm ready.
Josh's crew of 45 matches your crew of 15, Travis, what that means is we didn't make any mistakes, any stupid mistakes, and it is so easy to make a stupid mistake. It is so easy. We've all done it.
Okay.
Okay, and you can do it in science too. you know,
Right.
um, it's easy to make a mistake. We've all put together kids' bicycles, okay, and then had to partially take them apart, put them back together again. It is so easy to make those types of mistakes, and science is not immune to that. But the where we are right now is a really powerful position. It is a blessing. Where we are right now is a blessing. Um,
Yes.
Sometimes the greatest blessing is just not even to have good luck, just not to have any bad luck get in the way. And that's where we are. We're strong. There's no we haven't made any stupid mistakes. We haven't stubbed our toes. So when Josh's crew of 45 comes in, if that DNA result matches your crew of 15, that's all that's it. It's done. We'll get our
Cool.
Wow.
certification. And
That's
Wow.
and at
amazing.
that point, gentlemen, wow. I mean,
Yeah, take a
you
picture,
are
Josh. When you should take a picture when you get it in the mail. Take a picture of the whole process, man.
I
Like
will. I
that's
will.
gonna
I will.
be
I can't wait.
see,
Yeah.
when I did mine, I don't think I realized like what Dr. Smith said. I don't think I realized how big of what we were doing back then because I didn't. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Right.
you were
Right.
driven by determination. I don't
yeah,
know all
I
the
was
drugs.
driven by something else. I think it wasn't until later that I realized the what we were doing here. You know what I mean? So if I would have known back then, I probably would have took a lot of pictures myself, to be honest with you. But I would say definitely take pictures because
Yes.
that's a milestone that needs to be recorded. Especially
Yes.
within the process that we're doing right now. I mean, I feel like we're fighting a good fight for a whole lot of people. So
Yes.
I just it's
Absolutely.
definitely take
Maybe
pictures. I will.
tomorrow, maybe tomorrow we'll show your before and after picture, Travis.
Yeah, I want Josh to see it. I want you to see how little I was too, man. Like, I mean,
Okay.
dude, you could see my jawbones and everything, man. I had bags under
Wow.
my eyes. Like I was 152 pounds soaking wet. Literally.
Wow.
My waist was like a 27. Yes, bro. I was bad. Like it was bad. I'm a 32 waist now, just to give you an example. So I
Wow.
mean, yeah, 5 waist is little. I didn't
Yep.
realize how skinny I was. I just didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah, I
But
wear
that was like
38.
when we did the test. It was only like maybe almost a year after being clean. I can't remember how long, but it was shortly after me being clean already. But I was probably even smaller at one point compared to that picture. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I just remember my wife and my mom telling me how skinny I was, and they thought
Right.
I was on meth or something like that. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, all I do is take my prescriptions. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Well, it does mess
curb
up
your
your appetite.
appetite. Yeah,
It
you don't
curbs
want to
your
eat
appetite.
anything. Yeah,
No.
so you don't eat anything.
No.
But
Dr. B, the picture we should get and share with everyone is the picture of Neil Armstrong's footprint on the moon taken by Buzz
Yeah.
Aldrin.
hey,
That's
that's
That
a good idea.
wonderful.
That's a
yeah,
great idea.
yeah, that
What
that's
what
what
what what
uh,
was his saying? One small. What did he say? One small
One
step.
small
What
step,
was it again?
one
one small
small
step
step
for
for
man, one
mankind
giant
and
leap for
one
mankind.
giant step for humanity. I think it was, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
there you go. Yeah.
One small step for man, one giant leap for
Leap for
mankind.
mankind.
There you go. Yep, one giant leap for mankind. That's exactly what he said.
That
Yeah.
Yeah.
was the result of a scientific process, and it was a
Yeah.
result of
You should have a foot stepping over a broken pill, and then say that on a
right,
Oh
T-shirt,
yeah.
bro. That would be beautiful.
That's
right.
that's a shirt there, brother. That's a
That is a
shirt.
shirt. That is a bumper sticker. That would go all the way. Have a
Yes.
foot stepping over a broken pill, and like where it's breaking or whatever, however you want to make it look, and then
Yeah.
have that saying right behind it. I'm telling you, I just got chills. If you could see my arms, I have goosebumps. When you said that, I was thinking about what we're doing here, and that's really
Yeah.
really good idea.
But
That's
that's
awesome.
what you guys are accomplishing. It you, the it sometimes science feels mundane. Okay, and it doesn't have that adrenaline rush. Probably shouldn't use that term in
This
our
doesn't to
context.
me though. Like anything we're
No.
talking about with this does not have that effect on me because I'm into it. Like it's
Yeah.
different if you're not into it, but I'm so into this that anything you teach me is important to me, and it's not boring. Like I don't feel like
No.
that because I'm into this. Like I'm
Your
behind
life,
this 100%. Yeah, so yeah,
your
like this is
life.
my life here, so I'm into it. Like it doesn't seem boring to me or anything like that. Now, if you were talking about something else, I can't tell you that I would be 100% interested. But what we're talking about here and what we're doing here, I'm 100% tuned into it, and I think everybody else is that's on the team. So I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't seem boring to me. And I think for most people that have been on opioids, once they start actually hearing about this show, they're not going to think it's boring either. It's going to make sense to them too. That's just my personal belief.
Look who's here, the member of the team, the leader there.
Coming to kick us off.
Yeah, as always. 30 minutes just ain't enough, is it?
No, it's not.
Wow.
So thank you so much for showing up today. Absolutely. Love the conversations. And thank you so much for joining Live Talk with Dr. B every Monday through Thursday. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back to Live Talk with Dr. B. Hill. As always, we are excited for our next conversation with our esteemed guest today. So if we have any visitors would like to ask a question, please use the chat button up in the right-hand corner. So Dr. B, take it away.
Thank you so much. We have Samantha with us today, which we are very, very happy about. We have Josh, who will be with us shortly. And we have Travis. And of course, we have our mainstay, Dr. Smith. Hi, Samantha. Welcome.
Hey, thank you,
Hey,
Dr.
Dr.
B.
Smith. Hey,
Hey
Travis.
guys. Hey Dr. B. Hey Dr. Smith.
Hi,
Hey
Hey,
Josh.
Travis.
Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Hey Samantha.
And we're going to go ahead. Josh has a whole bunch of stuff he wants to share with us.
Well,
So as
Dr. B,
soon as,
I have one question. I wonder if we should quickly show the 3 slides we showed yesterday,
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
then turn the floor over to Josh and let's hear what he has to say.
okay, that sounds good.
So, Christy, when you get a chance, let's just run through those 3 slides, and that way the listeners can have a better idea of what of the context of the following conversation. All right, so we started with this yesterday, okay, and this was a study that always meant something to me because my background was emergency medicine. My background was trauma, and this was a study. What they did was they just collected urine samples of people who had experienced unfortunate traumas, uh, and they collected urine, and what they found was the level of adrenaline, the level of epinephrine in the urine had predictive value of who developed PTSD. Okay, in other words, there is a some type of a strong link between the presence of epinephrine in the body and the subsequent symptoms of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And we highlight this because um, our listeners know, if they've been with us for a while, when we drew Travis's blood and others on day 3 of withdrawal, we found sky high levels of adrenaline, and it raises the question: uh, uh, are our people at risk of developing a PTSD? And can some of the behaviors, particularly the avoidance behavior, even criminal behavior, be explained by the adrenalines? All right, next slide, real quick. I'm running through this fast. Um, I debated even adding this slide, but I wanted it there for one reason. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, includes 4 symptom clusters: re-experiencing, avoidance, negative alterations, alterations in arousal. The one I want to zero in on is avoidance. Okay, so if this epinephrine, if this adrenaline surge results in PTSD, then one of the hallmarks of PTSD is you want to avoid whatever caused the surge in epinephrine. This is why shell shock, PTSD, and warfare, soldiers who had been through the horror of shelling while in the foxhole or in the trenches, particularly World War One, it was so horrible they never wanted to go back and experience that again. And that's an example of the avoidance behavior. And then let's pull up, Chrissy, let's pull up that third slide, and then I'm going to go quiet because I want to hear the conversation too. All right. And this is the third slide we looked at yesterday. This is a fairly 2020, fairly modern study. Epinephrine may contribute to the persistence of traumatic memories in post-traumatic stress disorder animal model. All right, so those are the three slides we looked at yesterday. I felt those three slides triggered an excellent conversation that we're now about to engage in. And Dr. B, I'm going to go quiet. I'm going to hit mute on my mic, and I'm going to sit back and listen to the conversation.
All right, then, Josh, you take it away.
Okay. I just actually started pulling up. I wanted to tell you a brief story right quick. My father fought in Vietnam, and he suffers from PTSD.
So did my dad.
He,
mine too.
I have seen all the trademarks, all the hallmarks, all the highs, the lows of that. And as I'm sitting here, I've not, like I said, I've not done a lot of research, but today my eyes have been opened to seeing certain things. And I don't know the lingo much, but what I've seen today, but tell you the story about my dad, he is 100% disabled from this PTSD through the United States government, and then and through that, he gets paid and gets took care of, and which I would say every veteran should. I mean, I'm fully behind that 100% their sacrifice. But what I pulled up on the internet, it talks about opioid dependency. It talks about once it goes back to it's a brain disorder. It is not a brain disorder. We have debunked that theory. We see the science has proved that is not the case. But through that many different things, it says it's a disorder, or they're trying to, instead of saying there was addiction, they're saying a disorder. But they said that it leads to PTSD. It's exact. I mean, I've got a screenshot. I don't have the ability to pull it up. I have it on my phone. You could pull it up on Google. Anybody could. It's there to be seen. But it shows that they say it leads to depression, anxiety, the use of opioids over a long period of time. And I totally agree to it. I totally agree to that because I take medicine for depression now, but more for anxiety. I have panic attacks sometimes, and not very often, but here and there, and just don't know where they come from because I'm fine, and all of a sudden it just comes out of nowhere, and I just get overwhelmed for no reason at all. It just seems like to me.
Do you think it's a possibility after learning about the DNA and about the adrenaline surge that happens to our damaged DNA? Don't you think that they probably aren't panic attacks? Because the reason I'm saying that, Josh, is if you look at a few videos from a couple of months ago or a month ago or so, I was telling everybody about how I'll be on the couch sometimes and all of a sudden I'll have my heart will go real fast and I'll feel like I'm having a panic attack. But after finding out about, what happens with the adrenaline, surge in our body, due to the opioid damage, due to the DNA being damaged. I think, looking back and I don't know if they'd have to test this further to prove it, but I believe it's from my DNA being damaged. I think it's that surge I'm getting from the adrenaline's being abnormal, from from what the opioids have done to my body. That's my on the panic attacks. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on that, because I've told them before in the past that, I'll be out of nowhere. It'll just feel like my heart is racing, like almost like I'm having a massive panic attack, and I don't know, where it comes from. And that happens to me every once in a while.
What do you think, Samantha?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of thinking in a different route, like he was talking about the depression and stuff. I'm living proof of all that it does cause all that. But, you know, on the same I guess on the same page, opioid dependence has caused so much stuff in my life personally that, it's caused PTSD. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, depression, anxiety, social anxiety, all kinds of different stuff. And in the same turnaround, I can say, as far as the depression, I do feel like it was there that the opioids contributed to that. But at the same time, I've experienced so much other loss and so much other stuff in my life that I feel like that would have been a diagnosis either way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And now, as far as the panic attacks and stuff, I do have the anxiety and stuff, and I have experienced what Josh and Travis are both talking about, but I'm really not sure on, I don't know yet on that one. I'm still wrapping my mind on that one.
I think all of us have PTSD,
Yeah,
but
it's not. It's
Absolutely,
not that.
some of
absolutely.
us more than others, because
Yeah,
And,
depending on how bad it was for you, how, there's like me, I feel like both of y'all went through worse than what I went through. After
and
hearing Samantha's story and after hearing Josh's story, I'm like, man, I know I went through it too, but man, there's people
to
that go through it
me,
so much worse. And I think the
to
worse that
me,
you
it's
go
not
through
a
it,
worse, it's not one person is worse and one person is better. We're all victims.
yeah, I
We have
understand
all
that.
been
Yeah,
victimized by that.
I'm
And
100% agreeing with you on
I look
that.
at myself, like I look at Travis and myself as we're on the same page here. We're
Yeah,
both,
that's not what I
doesn't
meant.
matter
What
our
I mean,
story,
like the
doesn't matter
trauma
what,
of the PTSD.
yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but
Because some of
like,
the things you
and,
went through,
and
I didn't. So
one other thing I was going to just kind of step on with the PTSD, all three of us mentioned that our dads fought in Vietnam. Okay,
yeah,
in my I guess being the human that I am, I'm thinking, one thing that they're going to tell us is, well, PTSD, you're comparing yourself to a soldier that has PTSD and you took drugs and caused yourself to have PTSD, and yet you're comparing yourself to this soldier that has PTSD. Who do you think's in worse shape? Okay, generally, I would say by all means, of course they went through more than I did. I don't care if I would have laid down and died. To me, a soldier or anybody that's been in service, I owe my life to anyway. But, to kind of get back to that, I do feel like we have fought our own Vietnam. I
yeah,
mean, not saying, please God,
yeah,
I don't want that to mean,
I know
anybody
what
to
you
take
mean by that.
me as
I
yeah.
know
I
what
saying
you mean by
understand.
that.
I am any better than any soldier, because God knows I owe my life to them, and all.
Yeah,
You're
Thank
basically
you
saying like
to
what's it called? A
anybody, but
metaphor? It's like a metaphor is
right,
what you're saying. Like, yeah,
but
I get what you're
yeah,
saying.
I mean, we fought our own battles to have this diagnosis, I guess I should say, and not proud of it by any means. But if we're going to have to live with this diagnosis, you should have to do something for making us have it.
right.
That's
Well,
just
what
kind
I
of the way I feel about it, because you knew what you were doing by even creating this drug anyway.
right.
Right, and then they went out and told the doctors to prescribe it. See, this is the thing that really
Right.
makes me mad. If you
Right.
really
Me
look into
too.
history, when they first made the OxyContin and they first started putting opioids out
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, they pushed that with the doctors. They told them that it was safe, it was
Non-addictive.
not addictive, it was not habit forming. They push, sell. They even went to
Yeah.
the pharmacies, for God's sakes. And then when it started to
Yeah.
kick back on them, then they go after the doctors, they go after the patients. Oh, it's their fault, their fault. I mean, they just
Mm-hmm.
started pointing fingers everywhere. And
Yeah.
that's the problem I have the most, because they needed to
Me
take
too.
responsibility for their authority. They were responsible for what happened.
Right.
And I feel
Absolutely.
like they tried to put it off on everybody else any chance that they could. I want some accountability from them. I
Yes.
want them to be
Yeah,
accountable
absolutely.
for their actions is what I
Yeah.
want.
I
For
Brother
agree.
what
Travis.
they've done to everybody. Anybody that's touched an opioid, I'm sure
Yeah.
their life got ruined. I'm
I,
100% positive. Unless they only took it for like 4 days and then never took it again,
yeah.
maybe they got away scot free. But most of the
Yeah.
people that even taste that pill, that medicine, they
I
get
think
wrapped up in the.
that was another question I think I'd ask Travis is, you know, why is it that, I took this drug and ended up where I am today when I have seen it with my own eyes, people that takes the medicine and takes it like they're supposed to and just, I mean, I started out taking it like I was supposed to too, but I have my sister has taken medicine like she's supposed to and put it down and never went back to it. Why is it that my mind has to be wired that much different to have been that addicted, to have that addictive personality, to have abused that drug, to where somebody else don't? I mean, that's just crazy to me to think that one person is wired that much differently in their mind. I mean, I'm so thankful and glad that somebody can do that. Don't get me wrong, but it's just amazing to me how much just one little mishap of a chemical reaction in there in your brain can wire somebody that much different as to having that kind of personality.
You also got to remember you have a lot of people that secretly take this medicine, and they might
Right.
Right,
they
and
might
that
have
nobody knows
everybody
about.
fooled for
Yeah,
a while because
yeah, I know.
eventually what's done in the dark will come to light. Because let me tell you something,
Exactly.
I had it hidden from my family for
Yeah,
at
I
least
know.
almost a year. I got away with it
Yeah,
for
me
almost
too.
an entire year. No one knew
Yeah,
anything. I was on my P's and Q's, and I made one mistake and everybody found out about it.
right,
And so,
right.
it eventually it will come out because there's a lot of people who
Oh
act
yeah.
like they got it together, but secretly
Hmm.
behind closed doors, they don't got it together. They don't have anything together. You know what
Brother
I mean?
But
Travis,
So just
let
it's
me
just
finish. Can
amazing to
I
me.
finish one thing right quick, Brother Travis,
Yes,
Miss Smith?
yeah,
yes. I'm so sorry,
It
Josh.
was. It wasn't that now I understand. It was not panic attacks. It was through the methylation and through the damage of my DNA. Now I understand. I was self-diagnosing myself. I didn't because I didn't know all this information until I started watching the shows, getting more involved, starting to study, listening to y'all talk back and forth before I ever stepped out. It is
Mhm,
because of that damage. And what they have on the internet, they have this thing where it says they've got one like an addict versus a disorder. And here's the
mhm,
baffling thing to me. It says, where it's trying to categorize whether you was an addict or did you have a disorder. And it tries to go back. They're just reaching because they have no facts. They're reaching because it says this disorder could stem from a childhood trauma or all that. Well, my father never told us any of this stuff about. And I knew he was in war and was a military man. I did not know anything about his PTSD until I
right.
was at least a teenager, because
yep,
my
same.
mom and dad hid that from me,
Mhm.
so I didn't know any of that. And that you know I had a wonderful childhood. That is not right. To say that this comes from, and I ain't saying that it can't
Well,
come
you
from
got
a
lucky because my dad was my dad
Well,
wasn't.
I'm the same. I'm like Josh. I'm don't now. I seen signs of it. My dad was a little bit more open with his stuff, but um,
yeah,
there was signs that he had that something was going on. I just didn't know what. But I did have a wonderful childhood. I
yeah,
would have never known, that it was that. I
I'm
right,
would
not
have
saying I
never
didn't have a
guessed
good
if I
childhood.
had
I'm just saying
guessed.
you could tell my dad had temper problems. Like
right,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had an anger problem big time. Like that.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
mean like he was a bad dad, so to speak. It's just he had a
Right,
very bad temper. He would, on a drop of a hat, I mean, you could take him off. So
right.
you were like walking on
Yeah,
eggshells around him almost. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
now he's
yeah,
older. As the age has gotten to him, he's gotten sweet. He's gotten sweeter. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know why, but as he's gotten, in his 80s, he's real sweet
They say
now.
they
So
reverse. The older we get, they say we reverse.
yeah, Yeah,
I'm
but
not sure
I
if
just
that's true. It might be.
I didn't know my dad had PTSD at the time, but I knew that something was wrong. I'm like, man, he's
Right.
crazy. Like,
Yeah.
why is he always getting so mad?
But
You know, like,
here's
Dr.
my
Smith?
thing. Here's my thing. If the government has already, if this is already on the internet, and these are studies I've seen from Yale University, this is studies I've seen from all kind of, it was government agencies, and I don't know all the acronyms for all of it, but Dr. Volkow, I've seen her name pop up in there a bunch of times, and I've got a lot of screenshots I wanted to show to
he's on
Dr. Doug.
everything. Yeah.
I mean, I took so many screenshots, my fingers was wore out, and I'm a machinist, so I press buttons all day long. So I just couldn't get enough,
Hey,
And
hey, Josh,
yes,
Josh,
sir.
my apologies for interrupting, but there is a
No,
screenshot. I think it's very important that we put this screenshot in front of you today, and I
go
want to
ahead.
ask Christy if she can bring up the screenshot. Think I labeled it catecholamine slide number 3, but it was a couple of months ago, so I'm doing that from memory. But Chrissy, it's the one that has the group of people in our clinical trial that were stabilized on buprenorphine, but one of them had an epinephrine level of 654. And so, Josh, what I want to show you here is that, yes, while our people were in withdrawal, everybody had these crazy adrenaline levels, crazy enough to kill you.
Right.
But Josh, even people who like yourselves right now have been stabilized for months on buprenorphine,
Yes.
they still showed some adrenaline abnormalities.
Yes, sir.
And Josh, that may be what is behind those episodes that you're describing. Okay, Josh, this
I
is really
see.
important for you, and I want you to see this. Do you see where
Okay.
it says number? By the way, Christy, thank you. You see where it says number 204, and then the
Yes, sir.
epinephrine level is 654. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Josh, I want you to know the upper limit of normal on epinephrine is about 62.
Wow.
Right. Now, Josh, that person has been on buprenorphine for months. Months.
Really?
Wow.
Right. So these episodes, I think, you know, Josh, we all tend to feel somewhat isolated in our own lives.
Sure.
And sometimes we feel like things we're going through, other people don't understand and are not going through. But Josh, there is a
Absolutely.
very real possibility that what you're describing is a shared event by all of our people. And
Right. Absolutely.
if that's true, then it's not, again, our people are being labeled with mental health diagnoses
Yes.
that may not be appropriate. And Josh, those episodes you're describing, when you listen to Travis describe his episode, he's describing what a epinephrine level of 654 would do. Now, are
Right.
those levels dangerous? Does it put our people at risk for complications? I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue. Okay,
Right.
I have a worry.
See, that's scary. That's what bothers
That
me the
is
most. Like,
scary.
we don't know. We don't
Right.
know what's gonna happen. I'm scared for myself. I'm scared for my children. Like, that's another big motivation for me. Like, that's bothersome to me. Like, we need to know. We need to get this approved and get it certified so we can do further testing to find out what's gonna happen. Like, it's necessary.
So, Josh, I wanted you to see that screenshot right there to
Thank you,
understand
Dr. Doug.
when
Yes.
you're on the buprenorphine, some
Right.
people are still experiencing markedly elevated adrenaline levels. And believe me, if you've got an epinephrine level of 654, you're going to feel some symptoms.
Well, Dr.
Yeah.
Doug, let me ask you a question right quick. I mean, you'll know the answer. In other words, I'm at work, and right now I have a long sleeve T-shirt on with a T-shirt on under it, and our workplace is it's constantly 65 degrees. It has to be that so we can hold tolerances. Well, one day, just out of the blue, I mean, I nothing. It's just a regular day. I started pouring sweat. I
There you
mean, and I
go.
was
Get
standing
it.
still. How can that? And that has to contribute to what you're talking about, right?
I do that
100%.
all the time.
That's
100%.
exactly what it is.
100%. Yep.
That
Okay.
happens to me too, Josh. It's
And
not
it,
just you.
Yep,
And
me
Sam said
too.
it happens to her. Sometimes I'll just have sweat everywhere on my back. My shirt will be wet, and I'm like, "What's going on? I'm
yeah.
not even exercising." Like, but
No,
you
it
feel like you feel different too. Like it's not just
yeah.
the sweat
Yeah.
coming in. Like
It,
you can
I,
feel it.
Mhm.
yes. I mean, it
Yep.
was literally
Yep.
rolling down my face. I mean,
I do
it's
not believe that was an anxiety attack, Josh. I do not
Nah,
believe
No.
mental health issue. I
yeah.
believe what you're describing is most likely a spike in your adrenaline, your epinephrine level, just like the one you saw on that screen right there. And you're a thinker, Josh. You
Mhm.
process things in your head. You're analytical. You're
Yeah.
straightforward. You want to know and understand things, and that's why, Josh, I thought it was very important that you saw that screen and you saw the scientific evidence that we captured that
Yes.
even on buprenorphine, our people, some of them at least, are still experiencing some, well, frankly, quite dangerous levels of adrenaline. And I wanted to get that out there.
So let me
Wow.
ask you all, going through withdrawal, can it make you do things that really you wouldn't have done? Can it make you go so
100%.
far as to kill someone?
I
I,
think it's
I'm gonna
possible based
say
on the person,
it's possible.
based on who the
Yes.
person is in a whole. I think it's
Yes.
very possible. Like
Yeah.
if they already are kind of like I don't know how to mean
And
natured
based on the
already,
situation.
it's possible.
Yeah.
I
I
think he
do
can
think
make
it
you
is
hurt somebody,
possible.
yes, depending on who you are as a person already.
Hmm.
So if you're
Because you got
not
to
a
Because,
good,
remember, opioids change you. They make you worse. So they
yeah.
hmm
make you they can take a good person and turn them into a bad person. So if you're already kind of like a
exactly.
little shady person and you get on opioids, yes, you could kill when you were
I
in
don't
withdrawal.
even know that you already have to be a little shady person because, I've been there just from a
Possibly
little bit of
not. You,
personal
you you you
experience,
might be right. I mean, I'm just
you
saying.
know,
I want to
um,
believe in my heart that it would take somebody
well,
already evil. That's
the
but
reason
Well,
I
we
say
lose
that
control of our
is,
bodies,
you
so
know,
yeah,
that's what
you're
it
and
is.
I
right. I
mean,
mean, hey, listen,
I'll
I'm
just
not
throw a
knocking
little
what
bit
you're
of
saying.
just a little piece of my story out there, but, um, I would never dream of hurting anybody, would never have a bone in my body to hurt anybody. And my husband is the one person that is my biggest support system that there is out there right now. And when I was withdrawing, I have a domestic charge against him because I was going
Wow.
through withdrawal and,
Nah, I
things
mean,
just got
I
out of
know it
hand.
can. I mean, I
And let me just tell you, I mean, I feel so bad about that. And no, I mean, it got reduced down and everything and it never came to nothing, but it's still there, and knowing that that
Sam,
happened to me, I guess that's why
Sam,
I can
real
have a
quick.
little bit compassion,
Sam, real
maybe.
quick. Real quick. We only have 2
Mhm.
minutes left. Sam,
Okay.
what do you think your epinephrine level was at that moment?
Oh my
yep.
gosh, I couldn't even imagine. I would knowing what I know now, I would probably say it may have been close to 1,000, and that's
So maybe
probably guessing.
if it was that, you're not. To me, that means that you're really not responsible for yourself at that point.
Yeah,
Because I don't feel
yeah.
like you can control yourself at that point. I mean,
It
that's
just
just me. For,
like I said,
speaking on, I know
knowing
how I
now.
feel when I have the panic attack things that I'm telling you about.
Yeah,
I know how I feel. So I mean, I can only
yeah.
imagine being in a rage, being sick. I mean, it could happen.
And I'd like to say this too. When I first started this program, um, I started it, but all of the people in my life has always told me, you can quit if you want to. You don't need help. You can
Yeah.
quit if you want to. You can lay them down if you want to. My dad was a raging alcoholic. Laid it down one day and just stopped drinking. You can quit if you want to. Everybody has always told me that. My husband is one of the believers of you can quit if you want to. So when I started this program, I came in it knowing, because I know myself and I know I have to have help. I know I can't do stuff on my own. So I knew when I started this program and started reading the research and stuff that we were doing and the stuff that had already been done and knowing that I was going to get to be a part of this, I could not have been more excited to go to people and say, guess what? You know, it may not be today and it may not be tomorrow, but one of these days I'm going to get to show you in black and white proof that I couldn't quit if I just wanted to. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it excited me so much to be able to know that I was going to be able to be a part of this. And I still, you know, there's still people that I'm going to get to show that to one day. But, you know, I mean, it's for people that has people in their life like that. Just know that you can't quit if you want to, because I
Not
wanted
when it
to for
comes to
years.
opioid. Not when it comes to opioid.
Not when it comes to this,
Nope,
you
not
know.
opioid. I don't believe that. Now with other things that
Yeah,
might be
me
possible,
either.
but with opioids, I don't.
Maybe, yeah. I don't. I mean, I just, like I told you that the other night, I didn't have a choice. And I didn't have a choice to quit. So I wanted to. And if it was just from the willpower and the want to, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be a part of this program, you know, because I would have never had a problem. So, you know, we didn't have a choice, and now is our turn to prove it. So,
Yeah, because you were being damaged. Your DNA was being damaged
right,
the entire time, so you were completely rewired. So no, we didn't have a choice. None of us did,
right,
and you know we're gonna prove that to the world. That's all we can say.
absolutely.
So God bless you all.
No, Lucy.
Yeah,
God
as
bless you all, and
always.
you are
Thank you.
survivors, and you've
Yes,
come so far
yes.
in your journey, and you know, it's just absolutely amazing to sit and just listen to you all describe the things that have gone on in your life due to opioids. And God bless you all. You're all off of the opioids, but you're out there and you're going to bring this thing to the end. And I
Well, we
bless you.
couldn't do it without you, Dr. B. Couldn't do it without
Absolutely.
you.
You and both. I mean,
You and Chrissy, both,
that's
all of
how
you,
they
Dr.
said.
Smith, all of you, you are the
Everybody.
backbone behind this. So I mean, I appreciate y'all.
I really appreciate y'all.
I do too. Y'all are a blessing.
No, thank you, all of you. And Chrissy, thank you always for everything you do. And you get to take
Absolutely.
it away.
Thank you so much for joining us today with Dr. B. Hill, live talk Monday through Thursday, 12:30 to 1. Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and you have a blessed day.
Thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
so much.